are back on Game of Thrones review. What's season 7, episode 2?
Yep.
Okay, now
season 9, episode 20.
Okay,
it's flying by.
I wish, from your mouth to God's ears, or
the Lord of Light's ears.
Yes. So that was an episode. Boy, we had a nice ending there. That was Game of Thrones.
Nice. Nice.
Well, we had a hell of an ending. Let's put it that way. And yes, John and I did accidentally wear the same shirt again. Okay, how's TYT? Yes.
See, that's why I wear Hawaiian shirts all the time, so that shit doesn't happen.
Next time I'm coming in a Hawaiian shirt.
ShopTYT.com.
Yeah. So are we gonna take a look at the preview yet? Does that happen?
No, that's after.
That's later. All right. So let's start backwards a little bit. So let's talk about
This is not Memento.
Greyjoy versus Greyjoy, the battle.
Yeah.
Right.
I think the episode's name was Greyjoy on Greyjoy Crime.
Right.
Nobody talks about it. Okay.
Release the Kraken.
Oh, that's in this case
house.
it was literally release the Kraken.
Yeah. First of all, I'm totally curious how anyone in that battle knew who to kill. I mean, they run onto the boat and then there's all swinging and they're all turning around. I mean, it's easier to figure out what boat to fire on.
Yeah.
But once you're on the boat.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's that you know all your buddies, and if you don't recognize somebody, then they need to be killed.
I know, but in this case, it's
dark,
Greyjoys,
raining.
So they are all wearing the same things. They all used to be buddies.
But the boarding party is probably less than like 24 men. You theoretically would recognize their faces,
Right, listen,
I guess. I still think you kill a lot of friends in these battles.
Okay, look, if the 4 of us jumped into another boat and started swinging axes, and I turn around and I see Jank, I'm probably not going to keep swinging.
Yeah, but if
Probably.
I got it. But if you turn around and you see 5 guys with beards who look exactly like Jon, and also
then I'd be like, Jon, your brothers are here.
That's
Is
a
it
bad
cool?
example because in the worst case scenario, you kill Jon.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true in all the battles. The Battle of the Bastards, I mean, everybody looks alike. Like Braveheart, they're all covered in mud.
But here we go. But I'm just saying, presuming that you have some insight there into the difference in the Battle of the Bastards between the Boltons and the Jon's army, or whoever that were, the Night's Watch guys.
They're wearing different things.
But they're wearing here. They're all Greyjoys. They all have beards.
In the Battle of the Bastards, they're covered in mud. You can't tell what anyone's wearing. But
That's okay. It's okay. So let's get on to the most important stuff, which is that was Game of Thrones. So that's a serious ass battle right there. That's no joking around. And
nice entrance from Euron.
And plans go seriously sideways. Right?
Yes.
Like something goes terribly wrong for Daenerys' plans.
Yeah, well, so let us note for the record that as we were watching live, which is what we're doing now, we watch live and then do the review right afterwards. Check out all of this on youtube.com/whattheflickshow. All the reviews are there. Anyway, I said when she explained the plan to everybody, I said it's a bad idea. And my thought was that if you split up the army, each part is weaker. And we know that Euron was out there, so it allows Euron to pick them off.
Well, and
But
so when
she
they
didn't
say,
know
well,
that
we're going
Euron
to sail down there and then sail back, I'm like, oh, come on.
Right,
No,
you're
no,
gonna go.
she
She's
didn't
gonna
know
go
Euron
get
was
the
out.
Dornish army, and everything's gonna be fine, and then they'll
But but the Greyjoys know. I mean, because she'd talked about their uncle needing to be taken care of. They know that he's out there with that fleet somewhere.
Yeah, he's somewhere. They should have considered that a little bit better. But more so than that, it's just you have a killer, badass, gigantic army. I'll give you a perfect example. Once I'm playing blackjack with a guy who's got 2 10s. He asked the dealer, should I split them? She said, son, if you had a 10-inch cock, would you split it? Okay, and so if you've got a nice piece, don't split it. Just take the win. Go down to King's Landing, blow them away by any means necessary. Yeah, the dragons, they won't kill tens of thousands of innocent people. They'll kill tens of hundreds. This is not the real world, it's Game of Thrones. If it's the real world, I'm worried.
So you're with Lady.
She made some good points.
You're with Lady Olenna, right? Is that what we said?
Yeah.
And you're
not Tyrion.
And not Tyrion. You're like, oh, go ahead, be Queen of the Ashes.
Not Queen of the Ashes. They're overdoing it. Everybody hates Cersei. There's a better way to attack the kingdom than splitting your army.
Okay, but Cersei pointed out correctly that she can rally the nobles around don't let that Dothraki horde, don't let those foreigners come in.
Don't let those
Yeah, but
Muslims
the
in.
Unsullied are going to get Castle Rock anyway. That's also part of the kingdom.
Right, but that
ship
was
is
part of
sailed,
that's
nobody
part
likes
of
the
Yeah, if you weren't getting the Dornish, then you wouldn't be
But
sending
when you
the
no,
Unsullied
but you're
over
being
there.
inconsistent. We've caught you in a lie, Jack. No, I'm saying, no, but if they do what you want and just go get Cersei with your huge badass army, that's the Unsullied. Then the plan was to send the Unsullied to Castle Rock.
No. My point is that you're sending the Unsullied to Castle Rock anyway. So hold on. Let me finish the thought. No, let me finish the thought. Which is invading with the Unsullied in Westeros. That ship has sailed. Who gives a shit?
It's not the
so
capital,
you're
though.
not the Tullys are not going to be like, well, it was only Castle Rock, so it doesn't really count. They're not really foreigners. No, the foreigners are already invading all over Westeros. That ship has sailed. Keep the army in one place and crush them. So it's a terrible mistake.
Except that there's a good chance that if Tyrion goes with the Unsullied to take Casterly Rock, he can say, as a Lannister, I needed these guys to take my castle.
These are all BS arguments. Power is power.
Okay, you just that's fine. But you want to enculture it, nuke the Mideast. You got the weapons, nuke it, take charge.
No. Look, okay, so no, look. What I'm saying is, once you want to do a siege, fine, do a siege. Do it with your whole army. Okay. So and when you have the whole army there, you have a lot of other options, and they're not going to mess with your whole army. So you go take the Tullys. Now I have 1/10 of an army over there. Why did I do that? Then it's an even match. That's a stupid idea. So
then how were the Dornish ever going to get into the battle if they apparently they don't have any ships in Dorne?
Or not enough necessarily.
No, that's my point. Keep the whole army there. Go to King's Landing, and then if you want, have the Unsullied and the Dothraki do the siege or whatever, where you're standing outside. Send the other guys in, but at least you've got your ships there to protect you. You've got the dragons there to protect you, so that you don't get ambushed.
It's such a great point. I get that I'm going to get mocked for pointing out that time never matters in the show, and like how long is it going to take for Jon to get there? How did Euron build his ships in that much time? How do they randomly run into each other in the middle of the freaking ocean? But you are allowed to literally nitpick like you're General MacArthur going it's not real. It's all made up.
But that's not nitpicking. That is the core of the strategy. That's not like
there's no strategy ever. You just get your big army and you just roll through.
Yeah.
She's trying to rule. She's wants to
worried
rule.
About alliances.
They want a legacy that isn't what Lady Olenna said, which was that, hey man, there's just you come in and there's never any peace. She wants sort of a lasting, actual peace with alliances.
I hear you. Last thing on this is that I'm not saying burn everyone when you get to King's Landing. I'm saying keep the army together, and then when you get there, you've laid siege to it. They're trapped. So if the Tullys or anyone else comes, the mother ship is there, and you are prepared for them. And so as they are getting hungry and desperate in King's Landing, somebody's gonna hand you Cersei anyway, or you send in Varys' spiders. You think, you don't just, it's not like I'm telling you burn the place down.
I got you. So your point is they overthought this.
Yeah,
well, you fundamentally disagree that using a foreign army to circle the capital of the entire thing could drive people to go with Cersei.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if
they think it matters.
No, but it doesn't matter if it does, because those armies are with Cersei to begin with right now, and they're not enough. They're not enough. Okay,
they don't know that.
So,
for sure.
And if you go to King's Landing, those armies are gonna come and join the battle? Look,
maybe
it's Game of Thrones. They're gonna join the battle no matter what. And to me, look,
Do you think they all know they're on the show? Like they don't know. You think
it's
Game of Thrones?
No, I'm saying that's the context. Yeah. In this context, they're gonna fight. And so this is the idea that, well, technically we didn't use the Unsullied and the Dothraki to take the capital is not a winning argument anyway.
So are you arguing that this is a flaw in her thinking militarily, General? Or are you arguing that this is a narrative flaw that they obviously?
No.
But I mean, to me,
no. The narrative is fantastic. The way that it played out was wonderful.
Well, then,
I'm arguing with Daenerys. I would have made a better queen.
Well, you might still get your chance. The issue I have with it is he said, I'm gonna bring you back a gift or whatever. And I thought I had a clever idea about what it is, and apparently I've been proven wrong. So okay, maybe he's
Just
waiting
like
outside of Dragon. What's that?
Just like the moon.
Something like that. Maybe he's waiting outside of Dragonstone, waiting for the fleet to move, and he'll attack it regardless of who it is. But he attacked that ship, takes an exact person prisoner that I don't see how he could have possibly known that she would be on the ship or with the Armada. That bothers me.
Well, he read ahead.
Yeah, exactly. I guess so.
Yeah,
Look,
right. So
maybe it turns out that they have an informant in the group. Maybe.
Right. I mean, well,
but how could he have possibly known that the sand snakes are going back?
Again, it goes to the how could you have possibly known that? And I have no problem asking that question. That works a lot because when they know and don't know, just completely conveniently. And in this case, it was convenient that he know. So he's bringing back both Lady Greyjoy. I think I made that name up. Is that what they call her?
It's Yara.
They bring back Mrs. Greyjoy, Sister Greyjoy. By the way, I have all their albums. They're great, Sister Greyjoy. Bring back Sister Greyjoy and Mrs. Dorne.
Mrs. Dorne, and also coolest daughter of Mrs. Dorne, the one that I always liked, the one that was flirting with.
Oh right, they have one.
They didn't show her dying, I don't think.
So theoretically, we have 3 ladies coming back to Cersei.
And perhaps Theon following in their wake.
Well, Theon is on that. He's holding on to that thing, and like
he starts kicking.
He starts kicking. You never know.
Yeah,
he's a Greyjoy,
and he's pretty aerodynamic down below, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, this relevant characters don't randomly drown in the middle of the ocean. He'll be back. Okay.
But can he actually redeem himself after
Genji?
descending back to Reek again?
Yes, the reason is he already did that with Sansa, if you remember.
But isn't that too much to do it twice? Like I thought he had redeemed
remember when
himself.
I was kidding? I mean, I said live, he's gonna panic, run away, and jump in the sea, and then he did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
that
but
wasn't a prediction.
But wasn't it a good call though?
It was.
If he had taken a step towards her, there goes her neck, and she's dead. Now she's alive, and he's alive.
Have a weapon.
It was the right call to make, and in no other show would he have jumped in the water. That's why we love this show.
That's true.
And look, I thought, if I remember right, and you guys can look at our first review on youtube.com/whattheflickshow. Did I mention that? I said the gift would be the Miss Dorne, right? But it didn't have to be. He goes after the ships because he wants to knock out their fleet. That's already a gift. He gets his he gets his niece. That's already a gift. It turns out he got a threefer.
And it could have been Tyrion. It could have been someone else. Yeah, you're right.
This is a sort of specific question, but do you think that Euron's arrival and killing Mrs. Dorne's 2 daughters, do you think that's going to kill the moment between Mrs. Dorne and Lady Greyjoy, or you think like they?
Well, if you put them in the same cell, they're right back at it.
It's too bad because it came. The attack came right after a great look from Lady.
Greyjoy.
So what am I going to do? What am I going to do?
As we watch this live, my only regret is that we can't talk more because we're all trying to hear, right? But as soon as I saw the scene beginning, I was like, they're gonna hook up because they're both bi.
Right. And then as that starts to go, it's like Huron's gonna be there any second, right? Don't kiss him. You two don't kiss each other. Because then Huron will show up and ruin it all.
Also, when she kisses people, they die. I mean, look, it was great to see another battle scene. I don't think we've seen a full naval on naval battle scene, so that was cool. But also, I thought that it was important that they finally provide some reason to fear Euron and think that he's impressive or scary in any way.
That's right.
Because what had he done previously? Threw an old man off a bridge.
Yeah, we saw him.
Had the descending thing. He's really fighting. He's the first person on the boat. If you want to make someone scared of a pirate, that's how you do it.
No, it's totally right. He came out of nowhere. If you haven't read the books, you don't even know this guy exists. All of a sudden he comes, he kills his brother, and then he's supposedly a real threat. And he says things like, when they get away from him and leave with the fleet, he's like, well, we'll just build more ships. And I'm like, how are you going to build enough ships? Well, it turns out he's a serious military leader, even though. And so I think
was he at one point dead?
No.
They just thought he was dead.
They haven't gone nearly. Yeah. Well, he had left. He exiled after the rebellion. They did drown him. That's what they always do when they crown their king. But in the books, there's more information about a lot of the Greyjoys, several of the brothers. But for him specifically, he was very different in the books. He had been basically everywhere. He had sailed to places for years that no one had ever gone to before. He had a ship that every inch of it was black, including the sails, and a crew of people who were all mutes. He had these weird magic items, kind of. And so he was interesting and different. On the show, up until tonight, he was just some dude, I guess.
All right, so, but it is good that we now know him, that he's serious and to be feared, and he's a guy to be taken seriously in this game.
Yeah, I think he's gonna end up, I mean, I think we see before the end of this season, he ends up married to Cersei.
Probably.
Well, that's certainly how it's going. And narratively, it's one great because it's a great battle. It's unexpected. And most importantly, now the odds are a little bit more even. Before it was kind of uninteresting. Cersei had everything, right?
Right.
And all not Cersei, sorry, Daenerys had everything, and Cersei had like 3 Shao kingdoms left on her side. And okay, well, you just knocked out the Dorns and the Greyjoys, or what was left of
probably
the Greyjoys.
Dornish, and you may have the Greyjoy fleet now. Totally.
Do we assume that the fleet is just gone?
I don't know.
The whole thing?
Well,
Yeah, no, but
I got the more powerful half of the Greyjoys.
yeah, no, the fleet's gone.
Just Theon is left. He's got Theon, his little tiny.
Yeah.
So I thought there were signs, and I've always looked for these signs. Like, I'm curious what you guys think about whether Daenerys, like, you think because she made a mistake just in the planning stages, following Tyrion's advice in the battle, as you just talked about, but also like, you know, the way she challenged Varys suggests that does she not understand Varys' value? And I know you are big on Varys' value. So yeah, she came around to the right decision there, but then she ends that conversation with Varys by saying, you know, betray me again and I'll burn you alive, right? You know, like that's what her lunatic father did, right?
But she's got to show some authority. Like she's got to.
Maybe, okay, I'm just saying there are some signs that, you know, we keep thinking she's this perfect savior. She might not be. She might be flawed. She has had moments here again. You know, Tyrion had legitimate things where he was like, no, don't. So what was she doing there with
Varys?
Yeah.
There's reason to fear him, I think.
No, that didn't bother me. I mean, it bothered me because there was some percentage chance that Varys was going to die right then and there, and I love Varys. He's my favorite character. But as he is prone to do, he talked himself out of it, and one of the reasons why I love him.
But she's
very well.
You got to look at her, you know, coming in. I mean, again, like we see a lot of stuff. We have the advantage of seeing a lot of the stuff that the characters themselves don't see, right? So, on the face of it, somebody like Varys, and as she's going through his history, she has to ask, like, okay, great, you've done all this for me, but you were doing stuff for Robert, you were doing stuff for my dad, like, what the fuck, dude? And his answer is probably the best answer, and she says, okay, sure, I'll buy that, but cross me and you're burning alive, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like that's.
I don't mind that conversation at all. It's a perfectly logical conversation, especially because she's right. He is literally the one who sent the assassins to kill her. So
I think
you gotta ask. I'd ask a couple of questions.
I got it, but I'll
Jorah.
burn you alive in the same. I was gonna say same email. I'll burn you alive in the same
love it.
episode.
Are you basically butthurt emailsing Daenerys Targaryen?
Totally, yeah. I'll burn you alive along with bend the knee to Jon. Like I'm telling you.
No, that's a super fair point.
I think both of them.
Yeah, it could be
It would
foreshadowing.
be more exciting
Right,
if she
but-
turned.
Yeah.
But she's not coming back to share a kingdom. She's coming back to be on the Iron Throne in charge of the 7 kingdoms.
Right.
Yeah,
And
So
whereas-
this guy's coming from up north, like, yeah. His too.
And
she doesn't know him.
And to the overall question then, because Jon has stayed remarkably consistent. Like if he were ever to get to the Iron Throne, where he'd be like, oh, I don't really want it, but all right, if you guys insist, I guess I'll be. But he would still want to unite everybody, and he'd have to execute everybody himself, and you know, and she maybe at some point she may make a break, which is a break a great ruler in this world has to make, which is look, man, I'm gonna be as fair as I can be, but when I have to be unfair, it's gonna be awful for you.
Well, and I think what they needed to do was provide that potential breaking point. Like as long as she had all the advantages, it's easy to be the good queen.
So let's see.
But once it's tough.
So let's see what she does now. Like and she got the advice from Lady Olenna.
That's true. The thing is,
ruthless.
we're talking about all this strategy stuff. I don't know why you guys think that she has a chance. They've got big crossbows. Those dragons are going down. Like the whole thing's done.
As Amir said, those things are going to work great on. I was like, this is their big thing, larger crossbows to get the dragons.
It worked on Smaug.
And then, but Amir pointed out, if the dragons just lie there and stay perfectly still, that dragon, if you get them while they're sleeping, that arrow can do some.
But we know how TV works. One of the dragons is getting killed by that thing, right?
Right.
Totally.
It's Chekhov's
right,
ballista.
Or wounded really badly.
You've heard of Chekhov's ballista.
Right.
Come on.
So yeah, I was unimpressed too. I was hoping for some magic or
Like,
whatever.
he was good, like a
He's the guy. He's that serious ass maester.
Right,
he
you're
brought
seeing all
Mountain
the-
back from the dead.
But you're seeing all the skulls. I'm thinking like, oh, we're gonna see like skeleton dragons,
Yeah.
like undead dragon skeletons. And
Yeah,
Draco Lich.
Now, those crossbows lead to White Walker Dragon. So you see what I'm saying? That's what makes it interesting. So the crossbows get one of the dragons. He turns, becomes a White Walker, and now we're having fun.
Yeah.
So now all of a
Define
sudden,
fun.
but the thing I objected to most as we were watching it is when they used a crossbow on the old skeleton and destroy like one of the greatest things in the kingdoms. What kind of Taliban are you?
Yeah, he's a disrespectful. He's the Grand Maester now, or theoretically, or whatever he is.
He's the hand of the queen.
Oh yeah.
So I also in that opening scene with speaking of dragons with so like that map that it opens with Daenerys using the at the map there. So somebody had to like mold those little dragons. Like so I just wonder, is there an order go out like, listen, we need a big map. We got to lay things out. We need 3 dragons, one slightly larger than the other 2. We need them Thursday. Get on it.
Yeah.
Yes,
I guess so.
that is absolutely what happens. But that's funny you mentioned that. So my tiny point was she now has a dragon pin. Daenerys.
Right, somebody made that.
It was kind of gaudy. I was like, that looked.
It was
I'm
a
like,
little bit gaudy, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, that doesn't. Next episode, look for it. I'm like, it's a little out of place.
I have my note written here. I think Daenerys in some way is going to let us down. So bad Jaime was back, right? Talking to.
I think that
Is
was
it
just.
bad, Jaime?
I think that was just some good strategizing. He's there. He's looking to win. He's not looking to lose. Yeah, and he didn't do anything particularly evil. It was just good strategy.
I got you, but
Didn't
like
threaten him, really.
I mean, like yes, it's good strategy, but
Damage control.
But I mean, they all he sounded like Steve Bannon. I mean, like foreigners are coming to our shores and they're not like us. Like I mean, it's it's racism. It's these.
Well, what's his alternative? What's his alternative?
This racism on Game of Thrones. I won't stand for it.
I love the idea that in Game of Thrones, they're like, whoa, that's a little racist.
Hold on. That's super anti-Dothraki. But anyway, it's just it's just I hate you character you grow to inexplicably like with Jaime. I mean, again, we've talked about it everything or often. That's incredible rehabilitation of Jaime. To that point I was making last week that somehow we let Jaime off the hook, but Cersei is still the definition of evil. I think it's a worthy conversation, but I get it. I agree. But here he was, again, rallying us to hate people because they're different. I'm just saying it's not like he was not noble.
Right.
This wasn't.
So what do we want to see? Like what does good Jaime do?
Kill Cersei.
Kill Cersei.
But for him to make
not-
that
kills-
turn,
but
kills
not
is
yet.
It's not going to happen for a long time.
So-
Yes, not
and
yet.
so he has
I
to
think-
support her until then for it to be dramatically satisfying.
I think there's a good chance that's how Cersei dies. Like I think there's a solid chance that it's by Jaime's hand.
Yeah.
But it's too early.
gold one.
Yeah.
Oh, we should. So I think Arya. I think Arya's going to kill her.
Well, she said
she's
it's
going
north
north.
now.
Well, I mean, what? You keep it permanently? They can't turn around. There's no horse that goes that way.
Yeah, maybe Yara will come get him.
The horses are all one way.
So, to your overall,
Can't ride a horse south. You figure it out of your mind.
Not until they turn into
you'd have to
White Walker
take
horses.
Nymeria back down south. But to your overall point, though, they did it again. Miss Dorne is a really bad guy, and killing the kid and all that stuff. And I was rooting for her in that battle. I'm like, how did you get me to root for them in that battle?
I mean,
I was
the
rooting for the
ladies of Dorne, yeah.
The ladies of Dorne, right? So
Plus, they
and
made
also
some really bad
amazing.
scenes.
And not killing Mrs. Dorne when you have the opportunity to kill her
Mrs. Sand.
is probably
Sandy.
a terrible idea. Yeah.
Sandy.
Sandy, that's funny. Well, no, but that's such a great gift to Cersei because Cersei is going to love killing her.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but she won't. Like we're not. Like I don't think her.
You don't think so? I think she'll give her to the mountain the way she gave that other shame nut.
No, it's only. But again, that'll be the plan, and maybe it'll work. But I just don't think we set up. Oh, we caught you we kidnapping you. We're taking you back because we're going to give you to Cersei so she can kill you slowly and brutally, and then Cersei kills her brutally and slowly. Like now they've telegraphed it.
Yeah.
Now something different has to happen.
Okay. Let me make it. I love these predictions. In this rare case, I think that's exactly what happens. They bring her to Cersei. There's no further twists, and she just murders that hell out of her.
So why did they leave the daughter alive then?
No, then the daughter gets it, and
she gets away.
Mrs. Dorne has to watch. The daughter gets it
that's why they leave a daughter. That's why they leave a daughter.
The daughter
they
gets
will
it.
definitely kill the daughter first. Yes.
But then
then
Mrs. Dorne is a survivor.
It's in her name.
Yeah. All right. What about so
I bet
Arya?
I was going to say, should we talk about Jon Snow? I think Jon Snow actually will. He'll be willing to bend the knee.
I think he would.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, you don't go if you're not going to bend the knee.
Right. I mean, the thing said, "Come bend the knee." Right. So he's going.
Yeah.
But I mean,
because Daenerys will say, "You want the Dragonstone? You want all this stuff? You got to bend the knee," and he'll be like, "All right."
Yeah, Jon doesn't care about the Iron Throne. Jon just wants everybody to live. So he's like, yeah, you're gonna get me the dragon glass, and you got the dragons, and we're all together. We're gonna, it's a deal. Let's go.
Right.
Unless he gets killed, in which case Peter Baelish is gonna make himself king of the North.
Right.
So that's the most interesting part of it, right? So he says, I'm going down south, and Littlefinger's like, like there was like that.
Get Euron on the phone and tell him what boat.
Yeah,
that's right.
It was weird that they accidentally cut to a shot of Baelish right then.
Yeah,
weird timing for that.
So I knew he was going to leave Sansa Church, but that's
rubbing his neck.
Yeah, and so now the biggest risk to the entire kingdom is Littlefinger assassinating Jon Snow on the way there.
I can't wait to the final scene in this whole show is going to be Varys and Peter Baelish physically fighting.
Like wrestling over the chair.
That's what it's gonna be.
Or worse is that Baelish is
on the throne.
That Littlefinger is on the throne and Varys is his hand, and this was their plan. They're playing all
I doubt it.
But I think we kind of talked about this either in the preview or in the first review. If Littlefinger wins, Varys is for order. He would serve him.
Varys is for order, but Varys is for people who serves the population. Varys gave a Bernie Sanders speech here, right?
Yeah,
see, that's why I like Varys. Varys Sanders.
Varys Sanders 2020.
Varys at 79, Varys at 109.
But they stand for two different ways of ruling. So that to me, they're two different ideas.
Right, Baelish just wants to burn it all down.
So look, now that Baelish helped a brother out in Battle of the Bastards, and it doesn't he will never be better than this, right? So he's done his only good deed. This is the time to murder him.
And it wasn't even a good deed. It was all.
It's part of the strategy. Yeah, of course. But it wound up helping you. If Jon Snow was appropriately ruthless, he'd be like, "Oh, Littlefinger." Excuse me, sorry. He'd be like, "Oh, that's such a good point about how you wanted to have sex with my stepmom and my sister. That wasn't creepy at all." Oh man, look at that! You're bleeding out right here in the layer. Oh, that's such a shame.
The notion that somebody could come up to me and be like, "I loved your wife, and I'll love your daughter just as I loved your wife."
Jeez.
I don't think so.
Not wife, but mom, right?
Mom,
But I mean, whatever.
No,
but I mean,
the stepmom that hated you. But I loved her. And I love your sister.
And she didn't like you.
Yeah, but I mean, the idea that I'm gonna get the mom and the daughter, right? So you got my back now, right?
I think what he was trying to do there, it's not clear in that episode, is that he was trying to antagonize.
Maybe he was trying to antagonize.
So when Jon gets him by the throat and didn't Ned do that to him first season? I think at one point, I think he did the same thing. He was choking him. It didn't end well for Ned.
If you start choking Littlefinger, finish it.
Yeah,
finish it.
Because you could kill him. At any given time, if you wanted to, you could kill him.
I wrote down he should kill Littlefinger right now.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
See, if Sansa, so okay, she will. I don't think she'll do it narratively, etc. But if Sansa is now ruthless, which is what we now think she, that's what she said. Just here, take a gun, kill him, right? Kind of like Dr. Evil's son. Well, Littlefinger's right there, and Jon Snow has left.
Right.
She rules the North. She can be like, oh, Littlefinger, I just want to catch you. God. Okay, power is power.
But that doesn't work though, right? Because if Littlefinger gets killed, all of his forces from the Eyrie disappear.
Would they?
Right?
No. You played smart.
Because he was in charge.
You go to his number 3, not to his number 2. You go to his number 3. You make a deal, and then you kill him and the number 2 at the same time.
When Robb killed the Karstarks, he lost half his army.
Yeah.
That's true.
Right?
It's possible.
You can't just start killing your bannermen just because they're skeevy.
But
You certainly. No, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't do it in public, right? I'd Littlefinger. But anyway, they're not going to.
Right, but Jon's not going to do that.
Who's following Littlefinger? I mean, in a sense, his brilliance is that I can't imagine one soldier anywhere being like, hey man, wherever you say, that's where I am, boss.
Well, but there is a very rigid hierarchy.
Right,
and if
he's
the head
protector
of the
Vale.
house,
Like he's in charge of the Vale.
I got it, but then you should respect that very rigid hierarchy
big dude doesn't like him, though.
in Daenerys's. In Daenerys's plan.
The thing is, with the constrained seasons that we have now, that's possible. With the seasons being shorter and travel being faster, they don't travel for a whole season anymore. I think that we can assume that whatever is going to happen up there with Littlefinger might well happen next episode.
It might. First of all, you mentioned travel, which is because Jon's got to go to drag. I mean, how far away is that?
It's halfway across the entire continent.
Right, so he's got to get all the way down there.
But he'll get down there
and
in the
then
next
have a
episode.
meeting.
He will, I think.
And Arya will end up at Winterfell in the next episode.
Right, and but then they've got to mine Dragonglass with what army? I guess they'll get the Dothraki or somebody there to mine the. So he's got to convince them. I got it, but then meanwhile, like Euron just captured them. Like what? Like how? Like it seems like getting enough Dragonglass to fight the Walkers. It's like minimum a year away.
What Ben is looking for is just like little things. You know how sometimes they put the date, like March 2017, and then they show them at the next place, October 2018.
You want to see some of like the pages of the calender fall away quickly.
Just to be clear, you don't have a problem with the flying, fire-breathing dragons.
No,
and you don't have a problem with the White Walkers raising zombies. But you're worried about the physics of the time involved.
They're breaking some of their own rules. If they gave me a universe where dragons fly, okay, right? I got it.
The boats are fast.
My father.
The boats are really fast.
The smartest guy in the planet could not watch television. He didn't know how it worked. He didn't understand jumping like you'd see an establishing shot of a building, and then that said like FBI headquarters, and then they'd cut to 2 guys talking in an office. 4 of us know. Okay, they're at FBI headquarters, right? My dad would be like, well, where are these guys? I'd be like, FBI headquarters. How do we know? They just showed us FBI headquarters. So we were watching Band of Brothers, and they were training before they went over, like episode 2, and it said, North Carolina, March 1943, right? And there are guys walking around in Nazi uniforms because it's training, right? And he's like, where are they? How are there Nazis there? I'm like, it said North Carolina, 1943. He goes, yeah, I know, I read that. Well, then this is where it is. I could use that on Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
You could use a little,
Sometimes I like to think of my father watching Game of Thrones. It's fun.
Oh my God, I'm so confused.
I had one other Jon Snow point to make, but continue.
But I'll make a quick Frank Mankiewicz point to Ben's dad. He actually did fight the Nazis, and
they weren't in North Carolina.
They were not, and
because he fought them.
So when I asked him, so how was it fighting the Nazis? He said, really confusing.
Right.
He's like, you didn't know where you were. He's like, he told me a story once. He's running in the woods. The Nazis are behind him, and he's firing like this.
And those guys at least wore different uniforms.
Right. And those are just establishing shots.
So Arya we debated. You guys last week thought Arya was fully. I don't remember what I said, but
we thought she knew.
Right.
We thought she knew.
And so you thought she was pot committed to going to Cersei, but it turned out all she had to hear was the brother she loved was alive, and that I guess she could go home. There was a home for her.
Yeah.
Right. And so she
chose.
had that choice, and she and she went north and either did or didn't find her dog. And then that really interesting line that we debated live, she said, "It's not you," to Nymeria, which, by the way, totally cures gout, I think, Nymeria. So she says, "It's not you," and the question is, did that mean it's not you, like that's a different direwolf? Or did it mean it's not
Probably
you,
not.
like that's not you, you don't walk away from me? Or it's not you, it's me.
Or
one, the third one.
There's another one.
I'm different, like it's not you, I'm different, so maybe you don't recognize me. I get that.
Yeah, that's what I said during the episode.
Yeah, that's no, I didn't get that at all.
I would just throw out the possibility that if some Starks can theoretically warg into direwolves, what if it was someone else in the direwolf? And when she says it's not you, it was someone else in the direwolf.
Yeah.
But then
so you're thinking that it might be Bran in the direwolf,
or someone else.
No,
that's just a guess.
That's not it.
It's not Nymeria driving.
Well, it happens in this world. It has happened before.
No, it's because
we didn't see Bran that episode.
If it was someone hostile that had warged or morged or whatever,
I'm not saying it was someone hostile.
Then why did they go away?
Why?
I'm not saying
And
they're
if it was
hostile.
Bran, why wasn't it more friendly? So no, she was saying, and it's not you. If it really wasn't Nymeria, why wouldn't it kill him? It kills her, right? So I think the only logical explanation is it's not you, it's me. I'm different, but thank you for at least not killing me, and God bless and all that.
But we all think they're coming back, though.
Well, we don't know. Nymeria did have they did the nice facial change. We saw the softening. The dog was like, "Oh, I know you. I like you.
There's something about you.
There's something about you. We're definitely not eating you.
Where have I smelled you before?"
Right.
Yeah. And so we were wrong. We thought that she knew that Jon was around and was like, "No, I'm laser focused." And I would have guessed, even if I thought she knew that Jon Snow was alive,
she still would have
gone to Cersei, and she didn't. And so, in case you missed it, there's the road diverges in the woods. She took the path least traveled. No, Jon, for some magically, unbelievably, knew which way is which, and the way she went
was there.
What's that?
That was where Hot Pie was.
It's the Hot Pie
They've
Hotel.
returned there many times throughout the series.
I know, but how did you know which way was north?
Oh no, I didn't say which way was north.
No, you did.
I knew that is the spot where you can go to the north or you can go to King's Landing from that
you
spot.
said that the party, there was a party that was leaving and they were going towards King's Landing.
No, you misunderstood me. I didn't say that.
Oh, okay. I was giving you too much credit.
But you knew what that place is called?
It shows up a lot more in the books. I might have actually said the wrong name, but that is the place. Right. They've been there many. Arya's been
like
there
a hotel, restaurant combo thing?
Kind of, yeah.
Commonly called an inn.
Yes, okay.
Okay, so.
Which is, by the way, last thing on that scene is it's a bit of a shame because we really could have used her killing Cersei. By the way, if they were doing my idea of the siege and keeping the army together, Arya comes along.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Maybe. Perfect. Send her in, kill Cersei, and we're done with it.
Well, we're not. We've just delayed Arya working her way to King's Landing. She's not gonna.
No, my point is that there would have been 100 ways to kill Cersei if you're doing the siege, and it turns out one of them would have been Arya.
Right, but she's not going to get to.
They don't know that. I
and
know.
She's not going to get to Winterfell and hey, make up my room and just hang out there and watch Hulu. She's
especially now that John's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Any chance they run into each other on the road?
Well, we don't know.
He's taking a boat.
Did he say that?
Yeah. He did. He said I'm going on the road, then taking a boat. He was very clear about that.
Based on the geography, I know it's unlikely.
Yeah, it's very. Yeah, he's gonna
shut up.
There's the moment. There's always one moment in every recap that makes me laugh. Based on the geography that I know, that's not what he's going to do.
Yeah.
Oh, I know mining. I know it takes more than a month.
From now on, whenever we disagree with each other, we have to do it in this voice.
Sure, you can get dragon glass at that time. Shoddy dragon glass.
All right, what else we got? Oh, so Hot Pie. All right, who cares about Hot Pie?
But really fast, I liked that.
But remember, kids, brown the butter first.
Brown the butter first.
That butter.
And she had a great joke about I didn't do that.
No, it was a lovely scene. I'm not.
Yeah, I just like little scenes like this that can remind you that some people are just living their lives again.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for reminding me because. So I invented Vims for Game of Thrones when I realized why it was like the greatest show of all time. The one last time we'll go through it: violence, intrigue, mystery, sex. And in this one, we hit them all, including eunuch sex. never before seen in any show.
And really not still seen.
Yeah, right. But it's missing an L because this also has lines, great lines, Game of Thrones. And I now realize the only thing I like more than intrigue is great lines.
Yeah.
So Levims, I don't know. Vimsel? Vilms, maybe. Yeah, Vilms for films. Well, we're on to something. Anyway, so that was a great line she had about the pie.
Yeah.
Oh, you cook pies? I've cooked one or two. That was, of course, with the Frey brothers that she had cooked in the pie.
Yeah.
And then there was Daenerys had a couple of great lines, including "You've come on an auspicious day when we're pardoning people who used to serve other kings."
Yeah,
right?
that was good.
That was a great line. And then Varys had a wonderful, saving couple of lines for himself. And there was one or two other ones that were fantastic in that one scene. I'm gonna go back home and rewatch that scene just for the lines.
Yeah. You were bothered by this, Cenk. So and I am too. The Grand Maesters, like, they're so arrogant and sure of themselves.
Yes.
And they're supposed to be the smart scientists. You just think that, like, there would be some moments of, instead of, yeah, well, only 2 people have ever tried that. And you know what happened? That guy died of Grayscale, right? Like maybe you'd be like, it's only been tried twice, and they both died of Grayscale, but it's been some time. Let's do it. Yeah,
I don't even need it. Let's do it.
Yeah,
so here's the thing that bothers me. They're supposed to be the educated, the scientists, the professor, whatever you want to call them, and they have such a rigid hierarchy, and they're not recognizing the value of Samwell Tarly in a way that is deeply frustrating for people who are supposed to be the smartest people in the kingdom.
That's right.
So, because here's a guy who's seen White Walkers. Are you shitting me? Like, oh, we're gonna train you as like a little fucking intern. Who gives a shit about you? Go clean my pod. I'd be like, okay, look, I'm gonna have you clean pods later. That's just how it goes, okay? But meanwhile, tell me about the fucking White Walkers, right? And let me take you seriously. You killed it. Well, you've seen White Walkers. You've killed a White Walker. You've done so many things. This guy's a gold mine. I'd write a book about him and then have him clean the pods. So their constant dismissal of him is.
It's maddening.
Weird. It's weird and it's stupid, which is supposed to be the opposite of what they are.
But John, so go ahead.
Well, I would say, this is partly it's a fantasy thing. Like, look, Harry Potter, how much did he do? He still had to go to class.
Right.
Like the idea of keeping people down. But also partially, I think while they are sort of the science in Westeros has stayed for thousands and thousands of years with almost no scientific progress. I think part of it is that the scientists have their little place, that's true, but they also they're directly serving lords in their households. Like we made a joke in the live thing about them being part of the establishment, and they kind of like the way things are. They rely on them for funding and stuff like that. They don't push boundaries. I don't think we're supposed to be totally behind them.
They're not. It doesn't really feel like they're incentivized to experiment and discover so much as just like research and confirm.
Right, and
write things down.
And write things down. And there's much historians as like.
Yes.
And they might be more historians than anything else, right? And it's that thing, like they see themselves as the repository of knowledge, and that's at least certainly the way it comes off, rather than discovering anything new, right? And so in the last episode, where the Archmaester's like, there've been White Walkers before, the wall still stood. Yeah. It's always the end of the world.
No, you guys are making great points, which is that. And that's why he was talking about some guy was a great writer, but didn't know anything. The other guy knew something, was a terrible writer. So that's reinforcing the historians.
And Samwell says, like, how about something a bit more poetic? And he's like, we're not poets.
Yeah, and so
these guys are librarians. And nothing against librarians, but they're librarians.
Yeah, and I think the even better point you guys are making is that I guess they're supposed to be neutral, right? And so they're certainly not supposed to pick sides. They go maester for all the houses and stuff like that.
It's like the Night's Watch.
And the one guy who got high up in the ranks that started experimenting and started learning new shit.
They kicked him out. That's right.
Like, oh, we can't have any of that.
Yeah.
So that's the guy they kicked to the wall?
No. That's the guy. That's the guy.
Oh, right.
That's Kyber.
Hand of the Queen for Cersei. So so neutrality breeds establishment thinking and
they're invested in the system
and don't rock the boat. It's so they're is an analogy between them and our mainstream media, if you will, right?
I mean,
Kind
you
of,
watch
yeah.
before the end of the season, Samwell will get kicked out.
And
Totally.
Oh, yeah,
totally.
of course.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think
that's,
after this episode,
he's stealing
maybe.
books,
He
so,
still needs a little bit. He hasn't. Like saving Jorah is not worth his trip. He needs something else. And he found out about the dragon glass. Maybe that's enough.
That's enough.
That's enough.
You think so?
No, that's definitely enough.
That's
so
it.
He,
That's the only reason he needs to be down there. He'll either get Grayscale.
No, you can't give a heavy guy Grayscale.
So narratively, what else do we need from Sam? I mean, I hate to be ruthless that way, but like narratively,
I think it.
but to
He's got the
drive
sword.
Jon's story forward, he's served his purpose, right? So he could also cure Jorah and then get Grayscale himself.
Okay, I
And then
forgot.
Jorah goes back to Daenerys.
then he could cure himself.
Wait, I forgot. So let me make sure that my recognition of this is correct. So the guy that Jaime Lannister is talking to that's so important is Samwell's dad,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
And he's
I
supposed to
forgot
be one of the greatest military tacticians in the
Right,
entire
I'd
realm.
forgotten that too. Thank God Jamie used the name Tarly like 30 times in the conversation.
that.
So
I thought he was saying Tully. I'm like, I don't get it. The
that's
Tullys
why
are
he
with
was.
the Starks.
That's why he was in the previously on.
Yeah, right. He was in
Yeah,
the previously on.
Make it
So
his-
I like that. But to the point about the Maesters and being the establishment, like, wasn't that guy writing a book, right?
Yeah.
And the book was like about the battles of Robert Baratheon. I mean, to some, I was thinking like the establishment press, like that. you know, like Robert Baratheon. They're going to write this book about the great battles of Robert Baratheon. But the truth is, Varys said the truth about Robert. Wasn't really interested in the job. Like to
Right, he
hunt,
was a
like
great
to fish,
fighter,
like to eat,
didn't
and
wanna
drink,
rule.
liked women, liked war.
He was a good knight.
I wonder
Right.
if that goes in the book. But knowing these sons of bitches, it won't.
No, just great fighter. Here are the
No,
great
that's-
battles won by Robert. Here, like recording history, writing it down. Here, and here. Here's my book. It's done. Right.
Yeah.
They want to report what happened. They don't want to make anything happen.
Yeah, so on back to Samwell, last thing on him is that the reason I brought up his dad is that might be one last thing that needs to get done. So
maybe he gives his
Samwell
dad
has a
Grayscale.
sword. His dad wants that sword back, and his dad's a player. He's a player. There's got to be probably some resolution to that. Grayscale's kind of like a weak way for a character that is now this important to go out. So I think it probably comes back to his dad somehow.
I think there's some chance Jorah wields that sword, maybe. I mean, he's a great warrior. Now he'd have a great blade.
Yes, good
Jorah
call.
wields what sword?
Heartsbane, the Valyrian steel sword that Sam's father owned.
Wields it against.
Whoever. I
Oh
don't
right,
know.
yeah.
Against
No,
White Walkers.
No, John
Exactly.
Against the White Walkers because
Yeah.
he can kill White
And
Walkers.
they did. They had one other great shot. It wasn't a line, but a great shot. And we sort of called it when he was picking those scabs off. They dissolved into a shot of someone eating pie.
Yeah, totally.
Oh yeah, eating that chicken.
That was
pie.
a nice
Shepherd
little
pie,
move.
yeah.
Yeah, and
little
we get
Popeye.
to see in all its lurid glory those scabs come off, but don't show what's
that
going on
scene-
with
It's so
Grey Worm.
weird.
I
But we
can't
li-
complain because Game of Thrones has so many terrible like visuals, like terrible as in like no. But that was one of the worst.
Oh yeah.
That would last
Right,
so
but they're not going to
long.
show us Grey
did
Worm.
last long.
It is weird
They
that we
showed
don't.
Doug.
Right, they don't show us Grey
showed
Worm,
her.
which means 16.1 million people watched the show live on HBO last week, which is amazing for an HBO show.
Yeah.
And somebody told me that there were 90 million torrents.
Wow.
90 million.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
So that's wrong. Pay for the show, pay the artists.
But in all seriousness, pay for HBO. Look at what they're giving us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Come on.
So, but we live in this crazy world where like the sex, whatever, she's topless. I mean, I don't care about any of that stuff. I mean, she's a beautiful woman. It doesn't, but like the sex has to be timid, but we can see violence. We saw guys getting their heads cut off. We saw one woman choked to death, another woman basically eviscerated, right?
Yeah.
Is that am I using the, is that
Yeah,
correct?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so like we don't care, who cares, but we can't show a guy's a penis that has been mangled or that he was so it's weird. It's been weird for 60 years. It's still weird that
It is weird, yeah.
we got a really warped sense of judgment. That we've decided, hey, an 8-year-old can sit and watch a guy get his head cut off, but God
see his
forbid
penis.
that a man and woman who love each other to death, right? I mean, who are deeply care about each other, having a tender moment of connection. We're like, no, we can't, nothing,
So yeah, that's a great point, and I actually think that it's at the heart of American culture because America was puritanical. That's how we started, and incredibly violent. I mean, we took the continent by complete and savage violence.
Yeah.
So it's not that surprising that however many years later we would have a media and a culture that glorifies violence and frowns upon sex.
Did you and Trump's little aside, but Trump's message when he crowned when he christened the aircraft carrier this week?
No, I didn't see it.
Did you see any of that? Did you guys?
I saw a tweet, but no.
It's just that he was like, he just referenced, since the unmistakable American power and a message to the world.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a glorification of
right,
imperialism.
And then he asked the 22,000 soldiers to call their members of Congress and vote against healthcare, or to call the soldiers there to vote against healthcare for 22 million Americans. It was great.
Oh, did he really do that?
Yeah, call your representatives. Yeah, I mean, it's Joffrey. It's Joffrey at 70.
Yeah, here's what I would have done. When I would have christened it and then said, may we never use this, but if we do, we will burn our enemies to the ground.
Right. I mean,
If they betray us,
We'll burn them alive.
Burn them alive.
All right, what else do we have here? So, but there's no way. I mean, obviously that works because Richard is. I mean, he was writing a note to the Khaleesi.
he was about to kill himself.
He was about to kill himself, but I mean that means of
course it works.
They need to see each other.
Yeah, that's definitely gonna work.
Yeah,
that would be a
right.
That
and
would be.
He's got to get really pissed because she's going to marry Jon Snow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
She's going to marry Jon Snow, and Jorah will be fucking angry about it.
Well, okay, one line that we already skipped the scene, which is why I'll mention it, is the big.
But she told him, "Go get a cure, come back to me."
Yeah. So when
to serve me though, not to. He's knows.
no, she's not going to
No.
marry him or whatever.
there's
Yeah,
no
yeah.
way that they're gonna have grayscale penis enter the queen.
Yeah,
That's
you can't
just
show that in
real.
American TV.
Okay, sorry, but it's true.
So
Yeah, but
really
she's the
fast,
mother of dragons. She can handle it.
when Jon Snow was talking with his people up in the north, I think that it's not just for this one episode that big guy from the Vale says you can't trust a Targaryen. Jon is a Targaryen. Like they will eventually figure that out, and that might be a
think
problem
Jon
at
knows
some
that
point.
yet.
No, I don't think he does either. But Bran is getting closer and closer. Like he just hit the wall. He's like a week away from Winterfell at this point.
Yeah. So let me make a couple more inappropriate.
Yeah, that's taken a long time.
That's taking
Bran,
a
who
long-
can't
that's
walk.
the only thing. The whole show should be like that. Just a long,
Slow.
arduous journey from place to place.
That's a great idea. You should pitch
That movie
HBO
is
that
called.
next.
They should cast
Game of
Viggo
Thrones,
Mortensen in it.
The Road.
They should cast Viggo Mortensen in it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right.
So a couple of more inappropriate comments about the Miss Sunday scene. Driving Miss Sunday. Anyway,
She's in the last 3 Fast and Furious movies.
oh, is she? Okay. Anyway,
At least the
she's
last 2.
Is that right?
No, last 3.
I don't remember. Yeah.
6, 7, and 8.
the 2 best asses in a sex scene in a long time. So I'm not being sexist. Both of them, wonderful, nicely done. So we were all wondering, of course, is it just the testes that he's lost, or also the penis?
16. That's what I say. 16 million people were asking that question, and then they don't tell you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
check the Google tracker for the eunuch, how often that's been used, and today it spiked.
Oh yeah, there's no.
But as we were watching it, I said, I want to see the outtake where she says, "Oh my God, how long was it before they cut it?"
I think they cut off everything. I mean, that's what they did to Varys.
That's what
I
they
think
did to Theon Greyjoy, or that's what the Ramsay Bolton did. But
They didn't necessarily.
But for
I think
eunuchs,
they did.
my understanding is normally you just cut off the testicles because you still need the penis to pee.
My understanding is
in
for
American
eunuchs,
history,
normally.
I'm just going by the Varys.
On the other hand, I am Turkish, and they had eunuchs at the harem.
Oh, they did?
Yeah. So I've never been to a harem with eunuchs. They don't exist anymore. Anyway, but it was a nice touch, I guess. So you're wondering, what are they gonna do? And then he goes downstairs, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I'm curious whether there will be any. There aren't a lot of black characters on Game of Thrones, right? And
it's
then-
actually
and then
slightly
some-
like it's a little. Yeah, I don't know if it's unfortunate is the right word. That they had the 2 black characters who fall in love with each other. It's kind of un-Game of Thrones. You see what I'm saying?
And they're the one, and like I just and then she was the naked one, and that's the sex was them. Like I'm curious.
No,
whether
but
they'll-
as opposed to-
naked. And
No, I know, but
Daenerys and-
I
Go
sure-
back to your point. I looked it up. According to Wikipedia,
Yeah.
eunuch typically has been castrated
Yeah.
and still has a penis.
Yeah.
In typical use.
If you've been
yes.
castrated, can you still, is sex still in the cards, even if there's?
I don't believe so.
I don't think so, but I'm
no,
not sure.
I don't. No, definitely not. That was
Right,
why the
right,
eunuchs
that's
guarded the harems.
Right, because they wouldn't be interested.
That's right.
But we don't know if he's interested in sex. He is.
No, he
interested-
just wants intimacy. He
wants
wants
intimacy,
yeah. Well, and remember back when they were in Marines, some of the Unsullied would get the women and just like lie in bed with them or something like that. And
Right.
we saw one get assassinated.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. All right. What else we got? Anything?
Wait, you can be intimate
that's it.
and without having sex?
Yeah.
We'll explain before the next episode.
and Melisandre. So she's, and I like that because it was an anti-game. It was an anti-Three's Company conversation. Like she said exactly what was happening. She didn't mislead. There was no obfuscation or confusion. She was like, no, yeah, Stannis, that was wrong. Jon Snow, he's the right one. Jon, Tyrion, and and they had that great outcasts conversation, which he recalled to her. He told the truth about Jon Snow. Melisandre told the truth about Jon Snow, and she was like, I really think you guys should get together.
Yeah.
I mean, we're
Jon
talking.
Snow told the truth about
The key
Tyrion
thing
too.
in
That's
there
right,
is
yeah.
when she said the prince that was promised, and Missandei says,
That's right, yeah.
no,
Yeah.
that's not exactly what that means, which is a big one because that's a prophecy that's had a lot of pull.
Yeah.
And has led to a lot of theorizing on the web about, who's the prince that was promised, and maybe it is a princess.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things that I liked in there. First of all, overall, for this whole episode, thanks God, finally they're clarifying things. Finally, people find out about the dragons for the first time, and then they take them seriously. They're like, "Wait a minute, guys!
I love that Sir Davos is
dragons."
I love that. Right, Sir Davos, like dragons. Yeah, fuck, get those over here. We need those. Right.
Yeah.
Sir
Yeah.
Davos is like, they got dragons.
Yeah.
Dragons. They got fire.
Right.
You know who birds? White Walkers.
Right.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Get them.
So finally, the conversation we've been looking forward to for like 2 seasons, where they're like proper respect to the dragons, because otherwise, I'm not like they don't need to kiss the ring or anything like that. I'm just looking for like, get real. Dragons are nuclear weapons. You can't ignore them. So when they find out about them, they're like, oh, they got nukes.
And you
We need
hope
the
that,
nukes.
Yeah, but now they have the
that when
crossbows, so it doesn't
Jon,
matter.
if he gets to Daenerys, and Jon has to get to Daenerys, he's not getting killed on the road.
It'll be in the preview.
So when Jon gets to Daenerys, you imagine, and Tyrion and Varys, and tells them about the walkers, that they'll be like, oh, all right, this is more important. This is not necessarily more important, but Tyrion and Varys will take him seriously. I don't know whether she will or not. I'm now less serious that she will. But we know Cersei won't.
Yeah, Cersei
We know
won't care at
Cersei
all.
won't care at
So-
all, and that will ultimately, that may be her undoing more than
No, that might be her advantage.
Yeah.
Because while they are doing
But
the
it'll
right
be
thing to go fight the White Walkers, she's like, oh great, from the back, stab all of you.
Right, but then if that's the case, it will be a very temporary advantage.
Although
Yeah.
you know what
I know,
makes
but that's
everybody
all she
insane?
ever does.
Hold
Yeah.
on. You know what makes everybody insane? What if Daenerys doesn't take it seriously and Cersei does?
Yeah,
Because
that
that's
would
what
be
Stannis
very
did, right?
surprising.
Stannis was the one who's like, yeah, okay, we need to go up north. That's
Because
his-
Stannis, in all of his like being a terrible, terrible person who burned his daughter alive, had honor. And so his view of honor is we go do the right thing, we go fight the White Walkers because they're a danger to the whole kingdom.
Remember our stupid conversations because we didn't actually see Stannis die about whether Stannis was
He's
alive.
dead.
Yeah.
He's dead, or is he? Maybe we.
He's a White Walker.
He's a white.
Yeah, he's a Walker.
Well, they chopped his head off, so by zombie rules.
We don't know that they chopped his head off.
No,
That's
no,
what we never saw it.
I know. My position on that all along was, yeah, he's dead. Let's
No,
move on.
I agree. I agree.
Listen, George Romero has left us. The rules about zombies are completely out the window now.
Right.
So to your point about the Melisandre, I like that she was super straightforward. It actually clarified a bunch of things in that conversation too. Finally, there everybody's like, hey, remember Jon Snow's alive, dragons were alive, and then now it's like, in order to convince Daenerys, you just go to, I used to be poor. I was a slave or I was poor, and she's like, oh, okay, you come along
It's
too.
I was a slave. That's her soft spot. I was a slave.
Yeah. So it's actually not Varys Sanders, it's Daenerys Sanders. Right. She's like, oh, you were poor. I want to fix income inequality. Come on.
All right. Good stuff. Right.
Yeah. So some people were getting annoyed at me, particularly for politicizing Game of Thrones in the first episode, and I made too many Trump references or whatever. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make more Bernie Sanders and Trump references.
that's gonna
for you.
We'll all add to that.
Okay.
All right, so next week,
Renly
next
was Marco
episode,
Rubio.
who's here? I'm here.
I will not be here.
I'm at Politicon. Politicon.com/TYT.
Right. I'm still here, El Wapo.
Yeah, and by the way, you can watch me and Ben Shapiro debate and then watch Game of Thrones review right afterwards.
And although I look like my name might be Ben Shapiro,
My landlord is named Ben Shapiro.
I will be debating
Probably
Matt's
not.
landlord. I get to pick, they told me I can pick any Ben Shapiro I want.
I don't know, my guy's pretty cool.
And Anna debating Ann Coulter, right?
Anna debating Ann Coulter, yes.
Isn't there one other one?
Haas debating Charlie Kirk. So this kid's 24
relation
years
to the
old. So he's a conservative. He's 24 years old, and his organization has 1,200 chapters. I just found out across the country in all these colleges. Man, if you're a right winger, this is getting too political. But anyway, if you're a
this
right
has nothing to do
winger,
with Game of Thrones.
So billionaires will just give you millions of dollars. So how the hell did he get 1,200 chapters? Okay, anyway, politicon.com/TYT, and most importantly, all the reviews are at youtube.com/whattheflickshow. All the movie reviews and TV reviews as well outside of Game of Thrones. So check that out, and we'll see you guys next week.